Hey, everybody. I tell you, you are in for a very unique show today. And if you're watching, you're seeing me in the interview spot. How incredible is that? Well, let me tell you who my guest is today. It's someone that you might already know. Yes, it is the woo, 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 who's in the house, Caroline Blanchard. Welcome to the show, Caroline.
Oh, thank you so much, Deb. I heard so much about you. I feel honored to be on your show.
Oh, well, it's going to be just us. Normally I have this other, host, but she's off shopping or something, she's getting herself ready for the holiday season. Because that my co-host just loves Christmas. So let me tell you, there's something that you need to do to get ready for any season or your business or your life. And I'm probably talking with a lot of enthusiasm because you guys, we have we're going to be releasing something too that we've been working on behind the scenes. And Caroline is an expert. She's a master. She's a shaman at time management. And she is going to share with you some tips about organizing yourself for success, really, truly, bypass the woo phase of our interview. I'm going to be interviewing Caroline on something that she absolutely loves to talk about, and that we have created something for you that is going to make your life easier. And honestly, not sounding like a sales pitch, is going to make you a lot of revenue in time and in money. So stay tuned for that. But Caroline, you love time management.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I have to say that, I started loving time management when it came at a huge cost in my life, and I had burnout and really, fell to the ground and went lower than I thought it was even possible to go. I'll share a bit this story because it does come with why did I start to get interested in time management? Because it's funny. Some people will say you can't call it time management because we all have 24 hours. So you don't manage anything. You can't add hours. You can subtract hours. You can just deal with the 24 hours that are there. And you look at people, and I'm not going to give names. We all know those people that are billionaires, and they have like 12 different companies, and they have this and they have that. It's easy to say, well, of course they have all this staff and this and that. But as a business owner who had tons of staff as well, that quite often having staff is even busier. So it's not an excuse like, oh, they can have staff. They still need to manage their staff. Most of them still have families, they have their personal need, they have this and that. So how can some people with 24 hours produce so much? And then some other people with the same 24 hours are always out of time, running like crazy, chicken race, rat race, life rat race. That's what I was really stuck on about 9 years ago, 10 years ago. And I had my big corporate job. I had a lot of responsibilities. I was at a place where I wanted to be. Well, it was a previous goal, like that's the top, that's where I'm going, and that's what I want, and blah, blah. And then you get there, and I had my 3 kids that were younger. We had our dogs, our house, my marriage. I was volunteering at school for the kids because I also wanted to be a very present mom and be at all their activities. And then, responsibilities just kept coming. And I was in a very reactive mode always. I was reacting to everything that was thrown at me. And there's some days that I didn't have the energy to face all of that, but it wasn't a choice. I was getting up and was going for it. But it's really like the feeling of you get up at 6 and you already know you slept too much because you should have been up at 3 because you already know, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss time today. And then you start your day with your shower, and then it's just reacting to every single situation that will happen. And I don't know how. I was never late in a project or whatever, but God did it came with a great amount of stress. So long story short, all of this really ended up pushing me to burnout because this is a lifestyle that you can sustain only for a period of time. You can compensate with whatever you want, but eventually it's going to be like, boom, life will make you stop. And what they say, if you don't invest in your wellness, you'll invest in your illness. So for me, that's when it all stopped. And then, coming back to wanting to be as productive as I was, with really filling the times in my life that I wanted to, like be a good mom, be a good wife, be a good this, be a good that. I had to look at it and say, okay, how am I doing that? And I had the fortune of meeting amazing mentors. I won't give names because there's a few, but I started studying time management. And honestly, I didn't know that there was so much books you could read on that, so much stuff you could study. And of course, there's a bunch of different methods that you can follow. And I would say follow the one that works for you. But for me, what happened is that through the years, listening to all the different mentors that I did, I came up with my own time management schedule. And yes, I'm blessed enough to be in network marketing and be an entrepreneur, so I can actually, work my life. My work around my life and not the opposite anymore. But that again was a choice as well. So today, that's a bit what I'm going to give you. Like, what do we do to be able to do this much? I don't know about you, Deb, but I have a lot of people asking me, what? You guys just produced this? What? You guys are launching a book? Your second book? And I'm like, yeah, and we're launching another one next month. What? And we're producing the fourth. What? And you have your business. How do you do that? Do you get that?
Oh yeah, I do. I do get that. And I keep saying, hey, just wait. We've got something that we're going to teach you. And because I think, like you said, there's many different elements that come into it. But there is, like, when people ask, like, and we get it, right? Like, how can you be successful? People are following people that are successful, or they're following people that are healthy. They're following people that have something that they want. If you really listen to people, there's usually a strategy and a system, a strategy and a system. People just don't pull it out of the air. They have experiences like you had, or something stretches them. For me, I had a son who didn't sleep his first night till he was 8. So I understand, right? Like Ocean didn't have his first night through till he was 8. And so you become adaptive instead of reactive when you start to understand what it is that you want to produce, need to produce, and what brings you joy, right? And so not making a list of all the shoulds and checking them off like a list, but what actually fulfills you. What do you need to have that, that goal achieved? And just understanding that there's a path to it. Just like running a marathon, you're not going to go tomorrow and do it. You're going to train for it. You're going to prepare for it. And that's what smart people do. Smart people plan and strategize and create a system around their success. So you clearly have nailed that down. And I know, because I get to work with you every day. This is where you shine. So do you want to share? What do you want to share? You want to share some tips?
Wow.
You want to give people some ideas? You want to do the big release? Like, what do we got going on?
I'm going to share some tips, and then I'm going to share that we've created the ultimate tool to actually follow all these tips. But these are also tips that whatever system you follow, I think you should really integrate in your life. For me, it reduced anxiety to almost non-existent. Now I have nervousness before some events, but it's not anxiety anymore. I used to go to bed like thinking like, oh my goodness, I have this. It was not a good state of mind. And it also really increased my enjoyment and my feeling of feeling fulfilled, because I'm not just reacting anymore. I'm actually being proactive, and I'm producing what I wanted to produce. And that's so important. I would say for any system that you use, what you really want to do is set yourself up for success. Do not set yourself up for failure. And if you don't plan, you are setting yourself for failure. And that's just a fact. It's not like scarcity. It's just a fact. When we don't plan, you don't know where you're going. So yes, you will achieve a lot of things, but you will achieve a lot of things always turning into your wheel and not necessarily getting out of your wheel or expanding. And, I truly feel that to feel fulfilled and healthy, you need to always expand. You need to grow yourself. So basically what I would say, my first tip would be pick one system. I did that for a few years, you know, hearing some of Tony Robbins, hearing some of Mel Robbins, hearing some of this one and Brendan Burchard, and name them. Like there's so many amazing thought leaders out there. I was listening to a podcast, getting super inspired and being like, okay, I'm doing that. And then I would do it for a week or two and then be like hearing another podcast and being like, oh, I'm going to integrate that part that I really like. And then you start mixing up the systems. And when you don't do it properly, well, you get lost. So pick one system that you're going to follow and follow it for 90 days. Nothing is going to give you a result if you try it for a week. That's just, it's not going to happen. And I say 90 days to be very conservative. My real tip is follow it for a year, because that's when you will know if you're getting results or not. But if you don't want to commit to a year, commit to at least 90 days. So first tip, pick one system. The other one is plan before. So plan your day before your day starts. Plan your week before your week starts. Same thing for your month, same thing for your year. So we're going into a new year now. I know there's still 2.5 months left, but no, 3.5 months left, but it's going to go by so fast. We're going to wake up and it's going to be 2022. And guess what? It's not time to plan on January 1st. Well, if you haven't done it, it's a good time place to start, but it's really like in November, you know, October, November. For me, it's like fall. It's just a time to stop, resource, and really think about, okay, where am I now? Where was I a year before? Did I do the progress that I wanted to do? Am I where I wanted to be? And then you start evaluating what worked and what didn't work, and you will start planning your year. So it will go with your yearly goals. And then I would say your 5-year plan, really, that's always like the big vision. Where do you want to be? You do your 5-year plan, you really visualize yourself there. And I'm not going to get into too much details. That is really good with visualization and everything, but you really visualize yourself with your 5-year plan. Then you're going to break it down to 1 year. So in 2022, what do you want to achieve? And then when you have your goals and your vision, you can break it down to a month. So before your month starts, like again, not the first of the month, I would say in the last week of the month, a few days before the month ends, you always plan your month ahead. And that goes from your yearly goal that you're like, okay, so with this month, I had this to do. You adjust, readjust, realign. Then you have your monthly goal. And then same thing for your week, you will break it down to weekly, you know, because it can look big. So when you look at your yearly one, if you say, I don't know, I want to make 100,000 this year. Oh, that's huge. But if you break it down to 12 months, you know, it's about 8,000 a month. If you break it down to weekly, you're at about 2,000 a week. So then you need to figure out how in my business can I generate this? And I went for a big goal here, people, but you know, you can see how can I generate it. So then at your weekly goal, it's the same thing. Always before your week starts, I do it on Sunday, you plan the week ahead. So again, you take it from your monthly goal that you broke down from your yearly goal, and then you will do your weekly plan. And same thing, before going to bed at night, you plan your next day. And honestly, that's one that took me quite a while to actually really do because someone thought it to me and I was just like, sure. But of course, you know, when it was bedtime, I was just like, the last thing I feel like doing right now is pulling my planner and writing in it. So first of all, I realized I was like that. So now I'm doing it right after supper when I still have energy. But when I started doing that, Deb, my anxiety went to almost zero because I'm going to bed knowing exactly how my day will go the next day. And we'll talk about this in a bit, but of course you don't plan 100% of your day because that's creating stress. But knowing the big outline of your day really reduces anxiety. It puts you in control, and you know what you're walking into. There's nothing worse than the unknown, not knowing where you're going. So if you don't plan before your day, that's exactly what you're putting yourself into every single day. And I'm going to ask you that, because you are a master at planning your day. What's your biggest tip on that?
Well, thank you. So I think well, if I had to pick a master tip, I also concur on the breakout. When I realized that everything had to be broken out into step by step, it reduced my anxiety around reaction, right? It reduced my anxiety around, I had a conversation with myself that I was working towards my goal, to stop panicking about the speed of my goal. It also gave me some allowance to have control. And not that I love to have power and control, but I certainly love to have control over what's happening in my life in a way that I get to instrument it. So if I want to take tomorrow afternoon off, I can. And so for me, I am a weekly person. What has always been my saving grace is looking at my week, because I live in the world of how much energy am I putting out and how much energy am I taking back? Like, where's my reserve and where's my moving forward? When I look at my weekly planner, that's a big deal for me. Sunday nights are the biggest deal for me. I've come to love looking at my week, breaking them out. I take my day planner and I actually make a sheet. For me, it's about finding the system that works. So I have my day planner and I write out everything. So I have a confidence that I know what I'm doing. And what it really allowed me to do was stop having anxiety around. So I met someone yesterday. They're like, oh my gosh, we should get together and share some business ideas. And I'm like, sure, let's plan something next week. Because I knew that this week already had its rhythm. I knew that this week already had my personal activities that I wanted to do, the time with my family, my business activities, the time that we do this, whatever, if I had different businesses. And so for me now, I'm always working out a week ahead, where at times in my business, I was working out 1 day ahead or 2 days ahead. And just knowing that I have choice and control over my decisions, and that if I want to change a decision, if something amazing comes up, I know what is variable. I know that I can change out this time on Wednesday. I know I can squeeze in a little bit of here. And you actually taught me that, because I used to pack my days, and sometimes they're like that. Mondays are solid from, 8 in the morning till 9 at night. That's just what Mondays are. I know what Mondays are for me. And so I can prepare myself for that. But it leaves me a little bit of variability, right? And I think that the longer that I've done that, and the more I've worked my business and the more I've had rewards for my business, it's given me a bigger sense of control. And yeah, I reduce anxiety around, and I know what it is that I'm doing and when I'm doing it. The other thing it does is it highlights for me areas where there's holes. So I'm like, I can look at my week and go, I don't have enough time to exercise in there. I need to shift something. And when you see it week after week after week, and you're like, okay, I'm not achieving those goals, and now I can really see why. Do I have room, or do I need to adjust? Right. So it really gives me a full scale of what I'm doing. And it just gives me a great sense of control.
I love what you just said, that, because that's probably one of the sentences we hear the most. It's like, gosh, I wish I could exercise, but I just don't have the time. That's because, first of all, we don't put it as a priority. And quite often we don't put it in our schedule. I hear people saying, yeah, I'm going to start the gym. I'm going to go 4 times a week. And I'm like, oh, and how many times are you going now? Well, I'm not going now. It's just like, I'm going to start going 4 times a week. And I'm using this analogy because a lot of people get that. Whenever you plan something, integrate things in your schedule gradually. So let's say you're a couch potato, or no, let's not go to couch potato. You're just not working out. And then you make this beautiful resolution of like, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week. Well, if you're going 0 right now, why don't you start just by once a week for the next 4 weeks? But the thing is, like, people won't plan that because they're like, it's so ridiculous. Like, what is it going to give me to put 1 time a week at the gym? Well, it's going to give you a sense of achievement because you will be able to do that 1 time. I know a lot of people that the first week they plan 3 times, they will go. And then the second week, they don't because, it catches up to you. So whenever you plan something, look what your starting point is and plan gradually. And it's okay to have smaller goals, but when you actually achieve them, you're setting yourself up for success. And your brain really needs to succeed, because the more we succeed, the more we want to do. And that's, and you're setting up yourself. So I like what you're saying there. And also, like Deb said, when you do your weekly one, I do color coded, honestly. So when I take my week on a Sunday, I go first with the non-negotiables. The non-negotiables are, well, if you have a job, that would be a non-negotiable. 9 to 5, there's not much you can do unless you decide to have your lunch hour planned there. But 9 to 5 is blocked, it becomes your non-negotiables. For me, it's going to be my kids' events, my meetings that I have set, the trainings that are recurrent every week. I place all of this in my week. All of the meetings and training I place in yellow. So when I look at my week, I actually know just by the colors what it looks like. Everything that is with my family or my kids or doctor appointment, everything personal is pink. My soccer is pink. By now, I think you guys know I love soccer. So my soccer is pink. So for me, pink is like, oh, that's going to be cool. It's like, it's personal time. And then one of my business is green and the other one is orange. So when I look at a week, like Deb said, if it's all pink, it's going to be a cool week, but what's going to happen financially? If it's all green, it's going to be a really cool week in another sense, but where will be my family time? So when you look at your week and it's color coded, for me anyway, because I'm very visual, it gives me a sense of, is there a balance or not? And of course, not all weeks are balanced. When we have big projects, well, sometimes my week is orange. But it gives more of a sense of balance. So I would say when you plan your week, start with the non-negotiables, then start with your priority. And that should actually be like when you do your monthly goals, you should have your priority that comes from your yearly goals. And same, you bring them back in your weekly goals, because to achieve your monthly, you broke that down into priorities. What needs to happen for these goals to be achieved? Well, you will take only 2 or 3 priorities for the week. Like, don't overwhelm yourself by putting 9 priorities. You can put them if you want, but what you're going to do is set yourself for failure, because most likely you won't be able to achieve it all. So pick your 2, 3 priorities, you put them in your calendar right after your non-negotiable. And I would also recommend in your non-negotiable, if you're in a relationship, have your date nights or your time to nurture your relationship. If you have kids, have time there that is kid really, I now block my suppers and my family time, because the businesswoman in me quite often, will hear on the phone like, hey, are you free at 6? And I'll be like, yeah. No, supper time, family time. And I used to be like, oh no, yeah, of course it's business. So of course I'm available, but you need to really be, structured. And the other thing that I would say is that once you structured yourself, follow it. That takes a huge amount of discipline. If you're an entrepreneur, or even if you have a job, and you schedule that at 8 in the morning, 8 to 9, you're working out. Well, I know I've been there, 7:30, the alarm clock goes and you're like, oh no, it's my workout from 8 to 9, so I can snooze. Well, if you start doing that, you're not going to be committed to what you scheduled. But if you do want results, well, go with your exactly what you planned. And actually, when we're talking about people who are big achievers, that's what they do. It's not that they have more time than us. It's really that they prioritize their time. So in their weekly priority, there's going to be like, this week I need to achieve this, this, and this. And then in their day, again, you pick 2 priorities in your day that you absolutely need to do. Not your to-do list that is a forever list that, can go on as thick as a pad is, but you really put like your two non-negotiable that are to do that day, two priorities. And again, you do them first in your day. You do them first, and then you can add yourself 2 or 3 to-dos, but the rest you need to be flexible. When Deb says that I thought her that, it's not that I thought her, she knew it. It's just I saw her schedule at some point and I'm like, what are you gonna do if your phone rings or if you get some texts? You know, because you're booked back to back to back to back to back. And I don't know about you, but I receive quite a bit of texts every day. So these are things you cannot schedule in your schedule. Or if my mom calls, you know, I haven't scheduled it either. So when you schedule your day, schedule only 60% of your day. Don't schedule yourself back to back to back like crazy. There is life that will happen throughout the day. And again, you want to set yourself up for success. So Deb, how do you, and I'm just totally putting her on the line here, how do you set your priorities?
Okay. So pretty easy, actually. I think when you know what your goals are, so you've taken that time to discover what your goals are, I work backwards. I'm kind of a reverse engineer person. So, you know, you've got your goal here, and I know what we're going to be talking about. So you set your goal here and you work towards your goal. I set my goal and reverse engineer that goal. And so for me, we all know what our priorities are. You know, I have the forever list. I have the forever list and I use little codes to tell me what on that forever list is a top priority. That usually is based on deadlines. So if there's deadlines, we've got launches to do, or, you know, there's things like my son has a dental appointment on Thursday. It's pretty, you know, it's a priority for Thursday. It's booked, it's solid. So I think that we know what our priorities are. First, you need to know what your goals are. And there's some great, you know, so once you know what your goals are, for me, I can reverse engineer and then I can slot it in as needed. Now, sometimes you can be, the beautiful thing about having that plan is, and having the control of that plan is, if I want to change my priority for Thursday, I'll change my priority for Thursday based on new information that I've had. Or like you said, sometimes the week is all green. You know, one of my colors is green. So it's all green. And I'm looking, I'm like, yep, that's what's needed for the goal on October 1st to be successful. So it's all green. And I'm saying no to the personal this, or I'm saying, you know, there may be a time that I don't have dinner at 6 o'clock like Caroline does. But if I did, at least I can look at it and I can weigh it out. And if I don't have the dinner that day because I've got something that's taking priority, it's a decision, not a, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Da, 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 da. I've made a decision and then I can redecide if I want to, which causes me no anxiety. That's what we're talking about, that reactionary, not reacting like, oh my gosh, this has come up and I didn't know. No, I know that I've got this appointment. And, or if something really important happens at Thursday at 1 o'clock at the time of my son. So maybe I talk to my son's father and say, hey, can you take him instead? I'm not panicking. I'm not anxieting. I'm like, hey, you know what? I might be able to change that if I want to, but let me see if I can. And if I can't, it's okay. It's there. And so I think what it does is it really alleviates. And for me to keep on top of my priorities, I write them down and I have an indication to myself that that's a priority. So when I look at the list, my eyes go there first. And so I think if you do the work to have it planned out, then you don't have to worry about what they are. You know what they are. And if you're not getting them done, like the gym person, you know, like the gym person, we've all been there, the gym person, and then you can have that conversation with yourself. Like, hey, I need to do some training. So, you know, for me, I was noticing I wasn't getting out and doing the walks that I needed to do. So what it did is it showed me what I wasn't doing when I really wanted to. And then then I created a solution. So tonight I'm walking with my cousin. No, with my girlfriend. Tomorrow night I'm walking with my cousin. Thursday I'm walking with someone else. And why am I doing that? Because I don't have anyone here going, hello. So I am able to maintain my priority by creating a solution, which is what we call in the business an accountability partner, you know? And so it shows you your holes and it shows you your assets. No one has to tell me da, 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 because I got that nailed down. And then if you need support in an area, you can call it in. So I think overall, it's a massive plan for life. It's a plan for life. So Caroline, can I ask you, as someone who's super excited to have a plan for life, and I know that millionaires and billionaires and thousandaires and even hundredaires all need a plan. Do you know where I can go get something that would help me with my organizational needs?
Yes, Deborah, let me answer this. Just before I go there, I was listening to you, and I kind of heard a member of the audience saying like, oh my gosh, these two are freaks. Like, yeah, you will plan your whole life and blah, blah. It's all the opposite. It's all the opposite, because we do leave time in our schedule to live as well, and we are flexible, but it's just that when it's planned, you can also move it and you can be flexible, but there's no surprise. So elimination of the element of surprise, which for me is too much anxiety. Not like as a surprise party that I like people, but the surprise in business.
So I want to say one thing is that by doing this, I have more freedom. By doing this, I have more time. By doing this, I have more money. And by doing this, I have more decision-making ability. I make more money and have more fun than I ever did before, racing around, trying to figure out and being reactionary. And I achieve things that I didn't even know I'd achieved because I was doing them a little bit at a time.
Yes. And that's a ditto for me. And Deb just nailed it right there. Planning will bring you focus. Focus will bring you results. And that is whether you're, entrepreneur or whatever your job is, whatever your project is, whatever your plan is. Just think about an Olympic athlete. They train for 4 years for that one goal that they will achieve at the end. They will get their 40 seconds of fame. But I mean, it's a whole plan. It's, they couldn't get there if it wasn't planned. So your focus will really bring you that. And actually, Deborah and I created what we think is the ultimate planner. And so you heard us a bit talk right now. I was a person who was using 2 to 3 day timers a year because some were very useful, some were very pretty, some were whatever. I would get sick of it always every 4 months-ish, because it was never 100% what I wanted, and it was not answering my needs. So I always ended up having my planner plus my notebook, and then a monthly planner to just cover whatever was not covered in everything else. And actually, Deb and I on that are very, very similar. And each year we keep telling that to ourselves, oh, which planner are you using this year? Oh, my system is those 3 this year, blah, blah, blah. And we've tried other systems made by other fantastic people, but for us, it was never what we were looking for with the business we're in and being entrepreneurs and, parents and athletes. And we wear a lot of different hats. So we created the planner that we wanted because we had that much extra time because we're planning very well. So we thought, hey, let's throw in another project. And that's why now it's going to, give you a clue of why people close to us are like, what? Are you crazy? You're adding something else on your plate. And it's actually both of us that are entirely designing it and producing it. So it's, it is time consuming, but it's also feeding our creative side that we absolutely love. And I know I'm talking for both of us, but yes, we had to find time to put that in. It's going to launch, well, it's actually in pre-sale right now. So when Deb talked about the reverse engineering that she's using, our planner is built that way. We will help you go from your 5-year vision to break it down to what should you do tomorrow. And it's really done in, it's going to be done ahead of time, but it will feel like reverse engineering because we really bring you to break it down into little steps that are feasible, that are achievable, and that will increase your business success. I don't know about you, but us, like as entrepreneurs in one of our business, it's really like we want to do social media. We want to reach out to that many new people a day. We want to do our personal development. So read our book every day. which is so easy to ditch, by the way. That 20 minutes is like, no one knows. I'm in bed alone. Whether I read one page or not at all, like who's gonna know? No one, you're right. But it's these things that will help you grow. So this is a complete accountability system that will help you go through all of those little goals that you need to do daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. It's very, very well designed, and not because we designed it, but honestly, that's the daytime or the planner, the agenda that I would have loved to have for the past years. So it's available right now for pre-sale. You can contact us if you purchase. And also in that planner, you will have we will help you with strategy planning, business planning. If you have a team, how to keep track of your team. There's in the weekly planning, there's always a weekly review to actually improve, for the weeks ahead. Same thing for monthly and same thing for yearly. So if you purchase that planner before September 30th, we are gifting you, and yes, pure gift just from the bottom of our hearts, because it's a system that we also both use for our network marketing business, but it can really be used for any sales business or any business at all where you need to grow and meet new people. And I will let Deborah talk about this ultimate contact tracker that you will get for free.
Oh, wow. Thank you for letting me know that. So the one thing that I want to highlight that Caroline's talked about, we're talking about your business and your goals and achievement, because, you write them and review. That review is it working, if not shifting? But we also align the exact same for personal development, because if you're a parent, if you're an entrepreneur, what have you, you know that the level of your personal development and your business development can be synonymous. And so for me, with someone that is in a business that requires me to, write down contacts, make contacts, I'm in a business where I'm doing sales, maintaining relationships with customers, maintaining relationships with my team, is that, I use a lot of paper. I actually have people joke around and say I'm a paper girl. There's a lot of paper girls and a lot of paper guys out there, or people that keep things electronically and they're like, where did I put it? Where did I put it in? Sometimes you just need to write information down. And many times people have, this book for this and this book for that. But look, if you're doing your business, we've created a contact tracker for 100 people in one place. That alone, you got to be excited about, right? And it breaks it out like we do with everything else. Where did you meet this person? What is the information about this person? What have you sent this person in terms of information? What have they shared with you in terms of information? How far along the process are they for you to get them to where it is that you want to go? And it's from meeting to conversion. And the beautiful thing is, we know that some people we meet won't convert maybe into a sale or convert into some kind of other relationship asset, whether they connect you to somebody or get you on their podcast or whatever. Sometimes that goes on for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. It could be a year or 2 years. The beautiful thing, there is enough, right? There's like 2 pages per person, right? And people are like, oh my gosh, right? It's like the amazing thing. Oh, you got blank pages in your planner. When do you need to write notes. And this is so that you can have that ongoing, consistency, so that when, let's say I was talking to Caroline here and we've been talking for the last 6 months about a project that I'm wanting her to join or join my team, or, she's been an ongoing customer and now we're having a conversation about her maybe distributing. I can look back in one place and see our conversations. I know that her daughter's name is Audrey, right? And that Audrey did this really cool video about eye patches. Oh my gosh, how funny was that? And I can write back and I have a relationship, because you can't be expected to remember everything about everybody. And it brings you back into the moment and brings you back into that conversation so you can pick up where you left off, and you will have an incredible relationship success, right? And so we need that, because even when people go, oh, I'm going to go buy my own book, all of the titles and the categories come from the 30 years of business that myself and Caroline have done. And that's what we're talking about in the planner as well. You've got, like you said, 2 women that have used a variety of different planners for a variety of different reasons, right? And so to have this free gift, I mean, this gift is worth over $20 US that you're going to get for being part of the first group of people that get into the planner. And I do want to say that you can purchase, because I know that there's a lot of you sales leaders out there. They're like, I want every single person in my team to have a very easy, simple system in one book because they're just not following up sometimes. And I would say more often than not, people are really good at the point of entry. You know, they might send a sample of their product, or they might send a video of their product, or they might have introduced them to somebody or send them to an event. And then it's that follow-up. And this book helps encourage a timely, successful follow-up. And so if you're a sales leader out there, this is the perfect gift for everybody in your organization.
Yes. And talking about that, I'm not sure, I'm going to give you the number. The average to get conversion to a client, the average number of follow-ups is 5 to 8, meaning that there's also sometimes you can have conversion after 2 follow-ups and sometimes after 14. So you need to definitely, and I believe the percentage is 75% of distributors or partners or whatever won't do more than 2 follow-ups. So that's where a lot of business is lost. It's really in the follow-ups. And I will say, you know, what Deb was saying, it brings you right back in the moment. That alone will increase dramatically your business results, because you will always have a fresh memory, and people appreciate that so much, especially in our days in the, you know, online era where everything is forgotten in a minute. So anyway, 2 tools that will really, really help you. We are sharing our secrets. You know, it was purely out of selfishness at first, because I wanted a daytimer that I really liked, and Deborah wanted one that she really liked. And then we had to compromise, so we both really liked it. So it's I actually really love it. Can't wait for everyone to use it as well. You will see that once you start using it, it will simplify your life. And then when you start tracking your contacts properly and your social media reach and all of that, because there's going to be a section for that as well, it's really going to help you as well. So on that, I will invite you all to contact us if you would like to have more information. Deb and Caroline at gmail.com. So DEBANDCAROLINE at gmail.com, and we'll send you the order form and you're good to go. So Deb, as usual, and especially because today you're the interviewer, I will let you close the show.
Well, thank you. And Caroline, thank you so much for being on the True That Show. We really appreciate your time and energy, and we appreciate bringing experts like you to share with our listeners on how they can have a betterment of life, because that's really what it's all about. And honestly, that's what myself and Caroline, we do with the show and the planner and the book. We really are here to encourage and support entrepreneurs and lifepreneurs and people that want to be or respect entrepreneurs and lifepreneurs. So Caroline Blanchard, thank you so much for coming onto the True That Show today. And we hope to hear more from you in the future.